Taking responsibility is the foundation of personal growth. It is the act of recognizing that you have control over your actions, your responses, and ultimately your future. People often believe their circumstances are the result of external forces, bad luck, an unfair system, or even their upbringing. While these factors undoubtedly play a role, they do not define your potential. What truly defines you is how you respond to them. Blaming external factors may bring temporary relief, but it strips you of power. If you convince yourself that your failures and struggles are someone else's fault, you give up your ability to change them. But the moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. You recognize that while you may not be to blame for everything that happens to you, you are responsible for how you respond to it. Responsibility is difficult because it forces you to confront uncomfortable truths. It requires you to acknowledge that your current situation is to a large extent a reflection of your past choices. That's not easy to accept. It's much simpler to believe that life is just unfair, that other people have it easier, that circumstances have conspired against you. And in some ways, maybe they have. Life is undeniably difficult. Some people are born into privilege while others are born into hardship. Some face tragedies beyond their control. But responsibility is not about fairness. It is about power. The moment you decide to take responsibility, you stop waiting for life to change and start changing it yourself. One of the biggest misconceptions about responsibility is that it means carrying an unbearable weight. People fear that if they admit responsibility, they will have to fix everything at once. But that's not true. Responsibility doesn't mean solving all your problems overnight. It means acknowledging that you have the capacity to work toward a solution. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to start. If your life is a mess, if you are unfulfilled, if you feel stuck, the first step is not to find someone to blame. The first step is to ask yourself, what can I do about this? That simple question shifts your mindset from victimhood to action. Taking responsibility also means recognizing the power of your choices. Every decision you make, no matter how small, shapes the direction of your life. If you constantly tell yourself that your problems are someone else's fault, you will never change your behavior. But if you understand that your actions have consequences, you begin to make better choices. You stop engaging in self-destructive habits. You stop avoiding the hard things. You start prioritizing what truly matters. This shift in mindset is transformative. Imagine someone who struggles with their career. They feel stuck, underpaid, and unappreciated. If they believe their failure is due to a bad boss or a broken system, they remain powerless. But if they take responsibility, they begin to ask different questions. Am I doing everything I can to improve my skills? Am I seeking better opportunities? Am I networking and learning from others? Suddenly, they have agency. They may not be able to change their circumstances overnight, but they can take steps to improve them. The same principle applies to relationships. People often blame others for their unhappiness. They say their partner doesn't understand them, their friends are unreliable, or their family is unsupportive. But have they considered their own role? Are they communicating honestly? Are they showing up for others in the way they expect others to show up for them? Responsibility forces you to look inward first before placing blame elsewhere. It asks you to consider how your actions contribute to the outcomes in your life. Taking responsibility is not just about fixing problems, it's about building character. When you take responsibility, you become more disciplined, more resilient, and more capable. You stop waiting for motivation and start acting even when it's difficult. You stop making excuses and start focusing on results. You develop a sense of integrity, knowing that you are not controlled by external circumstances, but by your own decisions. This is not an easy path. Responsibility comes with challenges. It means admitting when you are wrong. It means facing discomfort. It means putting in effort when you'd rather take the easy way out. But it also means growth. It means confidence. It means the ability to shape your own destiny rather than being a passive participant in your life. At its core, responsibility is about empowerment. It is about understanding that while you cannot control everything, you can always control how you respond. Life will throw challenges at you, some unfair, some painful, some completely unexpected, but how you deal with them is entirely up to you. The people who succeed, the people who build meaningful lives, are not the ones who were handed the best circumstances. They are the ones who took responsibility for making the best of what they had. So the question is simple. Are you willing to take responsibility for your life? Are you willing to stop making excuses, stop waiting for things to change, and start taking action? Because if you don't, nothing will ever change. But if you do, if you embrace responsibility, you open the door to transformation. And that is where real change begins. Change is often imagined as a dramatic, life-altering event, an epiphany that strikes like lightning, instantly transforming everything. This is a dangerous illusion. The truth is, change happens through small, consistent actions, repeated over time. It is not the massive, sweeping gestures that define a person's growth, but the tiny, seemingly insignificant choices they make every day. The problem is that people underestimate the power of small actions. They believe that if something doesn't produce immediate, visible results, it's not worth doing. This mindset is what keeps people stuck. They dismiss minor improvements because they don't see how they add up over time. But this is how real change works. A single drop of water may seem meaningless, but over time, it carves through rock. A single step forward may feel insignificant, but enough steps will take you up a mountain. Consider the concept of compounding, something well understood in finance, but often overlooked in personal growth. If you invest a small amount of money every day, it doesn't seem like much at first, but over time, those small investments grow, accumulating interest and multiplying exponentially. The same principle applies to personal development. A small, consistent effort toward a goal compounds over time, leading to significant transformation. The challenge is that people expect immediate gratification. When they don't see instant results, they get discouraged and quit. They go to the gym for a week, don't see any visible muscle growth, and give up. They try to improve their diet, slip up once, and abandon the effort. They attempt to wake up early, fail a few times, and decide it's impossible. But the truth is, meaningful change is the result of patience and persistence. Imagine someone who wants to become healthier. They don't need to overhaul their entire lifestyle overnight. They don't need to go from eating junk food to a strict diet in one day. They don't need to start running 10 miles if they've never exercised before. Instead, they can start small. Drink one more glass of water a day. Walk for 10 minutes. Replace one unhealthy snack with a nutritious one. These small actions on their own don't seem like much, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, they lead to profound change. The person who starts with 10-minute walks eventually finds themselves jogging. The one who swaps out a single unhealthy meal eventually shifts their entire diet. The tiny habits accumulate until they become a completely different person. The same principle applies to mental growth. If someone wants to be more knowledgeable, they don't need to read 10 books a week. They just need to start with 5 pages a day. That small action, consistently applied, turns into a book a month. In a few years, they will have read more than most people do in a lifetime. The person who spends 5 minutes a day learning a new skill eventually becomes an expert. The one who writes a few sentences daily will one day have a book. Small actions repeated over time lead to mastery. But small actions don't just change skills or habits, they shape identity. Every time you do something, no matter how minor, you reinforce an identity. If you make your bed every morning, you reinforce the identity of someone who values order. If you save a little money regularly, you reinforce the identity of someone who is financially responsible. If you choose to be honest in small moments, you reinforce the identity of someone who values integrity. People don't suddenly wake up one day as disciplined, successful, or knowledgeable. They become that way through thousands of small decisions, each one reinforcing who they are becoming. This is why small actions matter so much. They are not just about achieving a result, but about becoming the kind of person who consistently takes the right steps. When you focus on taking small actions, you shift your mindset. You stop worrying about massive, overwhelming change and instead focus on what you can do today. You recognize that change is not an event, but a process, one that happens gradually and visibly at first, and then all at once. The difficulty is in trusting this process. The early stages of change feel frustrating. You don't see the immediate payoff. It feels like you're putting in effort for nothing. But this is the critical phase, the point where most people quit. The ones who persist, who continue taking small steps, even when they don't see progress, are the ones who eventually break through. One of the greatest examples of this principle is seen in nature. A bamboo tree, after being planted, doesn't appear to grow for years. It stays beneath the surface, developing its roots unseen. Then suddenly, in just a few weeks, it shoots up, growing feet in a matter of days. The years of unseen effort were not wasted. They were necessary for the sudden growth. People work the same way. The small actions they take every day may not seem to matter at first, but they are laying the foundation for explosive growth. If you want to change your life, start small. Pick something you can do today. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take one small action and repeat it. Trust the process, and over time you will look back and realize just how far those small steps have taken you. Discomfort is something most people instinctively avoid. It is unpleasant, unsettling, and often painful. Given the choice, people will always lean toward comfort, the path of least resistance. But the hard truth is that growth and comfort cannot coexist. If you want to improve, if you want to become stronger, wiser, and more capable, you must be willing to endure discomfort. It is the price of transformation, and there is no way around it. Growth requires stepping into the unknown, pushing beyond what is familiar. This is uncomfortable by definition. It means failing, struggling, and feeling out of place. It means facing resistance, both from within and from the world around you. But discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is a sign that you are on the right path. The very feeling of discomfort is proof that you are stepping beyond your current limits. Consider the way muscles grow. When you lift weights, you are literally tearing muscle fibers apart. This causes pain and soreness, but as the body repairs itself, the muscles become stronger. Without this process of strain and recovery, there would be no growth. The same applies to the mind. If you never challenge yourself intellectually, if you never push beyond what you already know, your mind remains weak and stagnant. Struggle is a necessary part of learning. The discomfort of frustration, of not understanding something immediately, is the exact process through which the brain adapts and improves. The problem is that most people see discomfort as a warning sign rather than a signal for growth. They believe that if something is hard, it must not be for them. They tell themselves, "I'm just not good at this," or "this isn't my thing," and retreat back to what feels safe. But this mindset is what keeps people stuck. Growth does not come from doing what is easy. It comes from doing what is difficult. If you are comfortable, you are not improving. You are simply maintaining what you already have. This is why people who achieve success in any field have gone through immense discomfort. Athletes push their bodies beyond exhaustion. Entrepreneurs face constant failure before they find success. Writers struggle with self-doubt and rejection. Anyone who has ever accomplished anything significant has had to endure hardship. The difference between those who grow and those who don't is not natural talent or intelligence. It is the willingness to tolerate discomfort long enough for growth to happen. Discomfort also serves another important purpose. It reveals what you are capable of. Most people live far below their potential, not because they are incapable, but because they have never been pushed to their limits. They have never had to find out what they are truly made of. But when you willingly embrace discomfort, when you put yourself in challenging situations, you begin to see that you are stronger than you thought. You realize that the limits you once believed in were not real. Take, for example, someone who is terrified of public speaking. If they avoid it forever, their fear remains. They never improve. But if they force themselves to stand in front of a crowd, even if they are shaking, even if they stumble over their words, something happens. They survive. They realize the fear was worse than the reality. The next time, it is slightly easier. Over time, the discomfort fades and confidence takes its place. This principle applies to every area of life. Facing discomfort is the only way to overcome it. Another crucial aspect of discomfort is that it teaches resilience. Life is unpredictable. Challenges will come whether you seek them out or not. If you have spent your life avoiding discomfort, you will be unprepared when difficulty inevitably arrives. But if you have trained yourself to handle discomfort, if you have willingly put yourself through struggle, you will be ready. You will have built the mental and emotional toughness needed to handle setbacks. It is important to understand that discomfort does not mean recklessness. Growth comes from controlled discomfort. Challenges that push you just beyond your limits, not so far that they break you. This is why progress happens gradually. You lift slightly heavier weights each time. You take on slightly harder challenges. Each step is uncomfortable but manageable. Over time, what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. The biggest mistake people make is believing that they should wait until they feel ready to take on a challenge. They wait until they feel confident, until they feel prepared, but that moment never comes. Readiness is an illusion. You do not become ready before taking action, you become ready through taking action. Discomfort is the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. If you refuse to cross it, you will remain exactly where you are. So the question is not whether discomfort is necessary for growth. It is. The real question is whether you are willing to embrace it. Will you choose the hard path knowing that it leads to strength, or will you retreat into comfort knowing that it leads to stagnation? If you want to grow, there is only one choice. Step into discomfort. Lean into the challenge. Welcome the struggle, because that is where transformation begins. Life exists in a constant tension between chaos and order. Too much order leads to rigidity, stagnation, and a life devoid of excitement or growth. Too much chaos leads to instability, unpredictability, and destruction. The key to a meaningful and fulfilling life is learning how to balance these opposing forces, how to maintain enough order to create structure and security while embracing enough chaos to allow for growth, adaptation, and transformation. Order represents structure, predictability, and discipline. It is the framework that holds our lives together, the routines we follow, the principles we live by, and the systems that create stability. Without order, nothing can function. Imagine a society without laws, a workplace without structure, or a family without rules. In such environments, progress would be impossible because everything would be in a constant state of disorder. On an individual level, order provides us with direction. A person who has a clear routine, a defined set of values, and the ability to control their impulses can build something meaningful over time. Order allows us to set goals, stay consistent, and create a life of purpose. But order alone is not enough. A life of pure order becomes suffocating. If everything is perfectly controlled, there is no room for growth, exploration, or creativity. A person who clings too tightly to order becomes rigid, unable to adapt to change. They may feel safe, but they are also stuck. This is why chaos is necessary. Chaos represents the unknown, the new challenges, opportunities, and experiences that force us to evolve. It is the unexpected event that disrupts our routine, the difficult situation that tests our character, the moment of uncertainty that pushes us to discover what we are truly capable of. The interplay between chaos and order is seen in every aspect of life. Think of learning a new skill. In the beginning, there is chaos. You struggle, you make mistakes, you feel uncomfortable. Over time, as you practice, that chaos transforms into order. You develop understanding, mastery, and confidence. But if you stop challenging yourself, if you stop pushing into the unknown, you stagnate. Growth stops. The cycle of chaos and order must continue, with new challenges constantly pushing you beyond your current limits. Consider a great artist or musician. If they only follow strict rules, their work becomes mechanical, lifeless. But if they embrace too much chaos, if they disregard structure entirely, their work becomes meaningless, incoherent. True mastery lies in the balance, understanding the rules while knowing when to break them, following structure while allowing room for creative chaos. The same principle applies to personal development. A person who is too rigid in their thinking, who never questions their beliefs or tries new things, remains stuck in their current state. But a person who embraces too much chaos, constantly shifting directions without any stability, never builds anything lasting. Growth requires both discipline and openness, structure and spontaneity. One of the greatest challenges in life is finding this balance, knowing when to impose order and when to embrace chaos. Many people seek comfort in one extreme or the other. Some become obsessed with control, trying to plan every aspect of their lives down to the smallest detail. They fear uncertainty and avoid anything that disrupts their sense of stability. Others live in a state of constant disorder, never committing to anything, never developing discipline, and constantly chasing novelty without building anything substantial. Neither extreme leads to fulfillment. True growth happens in the space between. Chaos is often where we find meaning. It is the space where transformation occurs, where we are forced to confront the unknown and rise to meet challenges. But without order, we cannot harness that chaos effectively. A person who experiences hardship, who faces adversity and uncertainty, can either be destroyed by it or strengthened by it. The difference lies in how they structure their response. Do they impose discipline on themselves, take responsibility, and create a system to navigate the storm? Or do they surrender to the chaos, letting it overwhelm them? Those who succeed are those who find a way to turn chaos into order without becoming trapped in it. This balance is not static. It must constantly be adjusted. There will be times in life when we need more order, when we need to establish discipline, stability, and focus. There will also be times when we need to embrace chaos, to step into the unknown and take risks. The key is to recognize when each is necessary. A person stuck in stagnation may need to introduce a little chaos, take on a new challenge, push beyond their comfort zone, embrace uncertainty. A person whose life is in complete disorder may need to introduce more order, develop routines, set clear goals, and create structure. The greatest individuals in history, the most successful, the most fulfilled, are those who have mastered this balance. They have the discipline to create order in their lives, but they are also willing to step into chaos when necessary. They are structured yet adaptable, focused yet open to new experiences. This is the path to growth. It is not about choosing between chaos and order, but about learning how to navigate both, how to use each to strengthen the other. Without a clear target, life becomes directionless. People drift, reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. They become overwhelmed by distractions, unsure of what they truly want, and waste years pursuing things that do not fulfill them. Setting a clear target is one of the most fundamental principles for personal growth and success. Without it, progress is impossible. A person who does not define their aim has no way of measuring whether they are moving forward or merely staying in place. A target gives life structure. It provides a sense of purpose, a reason to wake up in the morning with motivation. It focuses energy and effort, ensuring that each action serves a greater purpose. Without a target, people become lost in meaningless activity, expending effort without direction. They work hard but achieve little because their actions are scattered, unfocused. A person who does not set a clear target may end up in a situation they never wanted simply because they never took the time to define what they truly desired. Clarity is essential. A vague goal is no goal at all. Saying, "I want to be successful," or "I want to be happy," means nothing without specifics. What does success look like? What kind of happiness are you aiming for? A target must be precise. A person who wants to improve their health must set a concrete goal. Lose 20 pounds, run a marathon, or adopt a new diet. A person who wants financial stability must determine exactly how much they need to earn or save. The clearer the target, the easier it becomes to create a path toward it. When a target is well defined, decision-making becomes simple. If an action moves you toward the goal, it is worth doing. If it doesn't, it is a distraction. A clear target not only directs effort, but also provides a way to measure progress. If a person has no defined goal, how do they know whether they are succeeding or failing? Without a target, everything feels uncertain. But when there is a clear objective, every step can be evaluated. Is this action bringing me closer to my goal or pulling me away from it? This self-assessment creates accountability. It prevents excuses and forces a person to confront the reality of their choices. One of the greatest mistakes people make is setting targets based on what others expect rather than what they truly desire. They chase goals imposed by society, family, or peers without questioning whether those goals align with their own values. This leads to frustration, burnout, and a sense of emptiness. A person must choose their own target, something deeply meaningful to them. Otherwise, even if they succeed, they will feel unfulfilled. The target must be personal, something that ignites passion and gives life direction. Having a clear target also builds resilience. When challenges arise, as they inevitably do, a well-defined goal acts as a guiding force. It keeps a person moving forward even when motivation fades. Without a target, obstacles become overwhelming. A minor setback feels like a complete failure. But when the goal is clear, setbacks are seen as part of the journey, temporary difficulties that can be overcome. A person with a strong sense of direction does not give up easily because they know what they are working toward. Targets must also be realistic yet ambitious. A goal that is too easy creates no growth, while a goal that is impossibly high leads to frustration and discouragement. The best targets push a person beyond their comfort zone while remaining within the realm of possibility. They require effort, discipline, and persistence. They demand that a person become better than they were yesterday. A strong target challenges an individual to stretch their abilities and develop new skills. It is also important to break large targets into smaller, manageable steps. A massive goal can feel overwhelming, leading to paralysis. But when a goal is broken down into achievable milestones, progress becomes tangible. Small wins build momentum. Each step forward strengthens confidence and motivation. A person training for a marathon does not start by running 26 miles. They start with a mile, then build up gradually. The same principle applies to any pursuit. Success is the result of small, consistent efforts over time. A target must also be adaptable. Life is unpredictable and circumstances change. Stubbornly clinging to an outdated goal can be just as damaging as having no goal at all. A person must regularly evaluate whether their target is still meaningful and relevant. If necessary, adjustments must be made. The goal is not to rigidly follow a plan, but to ensure that the direction remains true. Adaptation is not the same as giving up. It is a recognition that growth requires flexibility. Ultimately, setting a clear target is about taking responsibility for one's life. It is about deciding who you want to become and taking deliberate steps to get there. It eliminates the excuse of, "I don't know what to do," because the path is clearly defined. Without a target, a person becomes a passive participant in life, reacting to external events instead of shaping their own future. With a target, they become active creators, moving with purpose towards something meaningful. Choosing a target is the first step toward achieving anything worthwhile. It provides clarity, direction, and motivation. It turns vague dreams into actionable plans. It allows a person to measure progress, stay accountable, and build resilience. Most importantly, it gives life purpose. Without a target, you are lost. With one, you have the power to shape your own destiny. Time is the one force in life that never stops. It moves forward relentlessly, with or without your participation. It does not pause for your indecision, your fears, or your unwillingness to take action. Every second that passes is a second that you will never get back. Whether you choose to use time wisely or waste it, whether you grow or remain stagnant, whether you chase your goals or let them slip away, time continues its march forward. And the question is not whether time will pass, but whether you will move forward with it or be left behind. Many people live as if they have an unlimited amount of time. They delay their dreams, telling themselves they will start tomorrow, next week, or someday. They convince themselves that they can afford to wait, that opportunities will always be available, that there will always be another chance. But time does not wait. The opportunities of today may not exist tomorrow. The version of yourself that is capable of taking action now will not be the same years from now. If you do not take control of your time, it will slip through your fingers, leaving you with nothing but regret. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry. It does not come from failure, but from inaction. People rarely regret trying and failing. They regret never trying at all. They regret the risks they were too afraid to take, the chances they let slip away, the moments they wasted doing things that did not matter. Years pass and they find themselves looking back, wishing they had been braver, more disciplined, more willing to step into the unknown. But by then, the time is gone. No amount of wishing can bring it back. The truth is, you cannot stop time, but you can decide how you use it. Every day you are presented with a choice to move forward, grow, and work toward your goals, or to stay the same and let time carry you along aimlessly. Those who recognize the value of time take action. They do not wait for the perfect moment because they understand that the perfect moment does not exist. They do not waste time on meaningless distractions because they know that every hour spent on something trivial is an hour stolen from something important. They take control of their lives, understanding that if they do not direct their time, the world will do it for them. Time rewards those who use it wisely. Progress is built not in sudden dramatic leaps, but in consistent, disciplined effort over time. A person who dedicates themselves to improving just a little each day, learning a new skill, building a business, working on their health, will, over the years, achieve incredible results. Small actions compounded over time lead to massive transformation. But the opposite is also true. A person who neglects their time, who wastes hours on distractions, who avoids effort, will look back years later and find that they have built nothing. They will realize that their inaction has cost them more than they ever imagined. Fear often stops people from using time wisely. They fear failure, uncertainty, discomfort. They convince themselves that they are not ready, that they need more time before they begin. But time does not care about fear. It moves forward regardless. The only way to overcome fear is to act in spite of it. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is now. Another mistake people make is believing that they will have more time in the future. They tell themselves that once they finish school, once they get a better job, once they have more money, then they will focus on what matters. But the future does not grant more time. It only brings new responsibilities, new challenges, new distractions. If you do not make time for what matters now, you never will. Life does not suddenly become easier. The people who achieve their goals are not the ones who wait for the perfect conditions. They are the ones who start despite the obstacles. There is also a danger in living only in the past. Some people spend their time reminiscing about past successes or dwelling on past failures. They hold on to old grudges, old mistakes, old versions of themselves. But the past is gone. No matter how much time you spend thinking about it, you cannot change it. The only thing you can control is what you do now. The future is built in the present. Every action you take today shapes the person you will become. The only way to keep up with time is to move forward with it. That means setting goals, taking responsibility, and making every moment count. It means choosing discipline over distraction, growth over comfort, action over hesitation. It means understanding that time is your most valuable resource. Once spent, it can never be regained.